The dominant storyline after Game 1, of course, was J.R. Smith and that terrible blunder. Sorry to remind you, but he might not be the only one who's culpable for that debacle. Yesterday, a new camera angle was released showing more footage of the Cavs during the break before that extra period. You can see LeBron learns the Cavs still had a timeout and was absolutely shocked. Couldn't even look in Smith's direction. Clearly, this moment completely deflating to that team. Maybe had a hangover effect there. Stephen A. as well. Do you feel worse? Okay, we'll start with Max. Do you feel worse, Max, for LeBron or Ty Lue after seeing that video?
Well, I certainly don't feel worse for LeBron. Look, I'm accused of being a LeBron apologist on this show by that man. I'm not apologizing for LeBron. If he gets criticism that he doesn't deserve, he deserves to be defended. And if you're talking about LeBron James and most or even a lot of what you say is negative, you got a problem. You know, like, no one's perfect. LeBron does bad things too. But if what most is of what's coming out of your mouth about the best player in the world by a factor of infinity is negative, stop. But he messed up this time. That's a mess up. And let me tell you why. Not just because he didn't know that he had a timeout. Feel a little bit better about J.R. Smith for a second. J.R. at least came to the bench and sat down next to LeBron James. That's what you do. You take your medicine. He sat down right next to LeBron James. All right, there was a space between, but there was no one between them. And LeBron wouldn't look at him or anything. J.R. Smith sat right there. LeBron didn't know that there wasn't a timeout. That would have helped, right, had he known. But more than that, LeBron showed poor leadership there. I'm sure he knows that by now. When you have that attitude on the bench toward a guy who just messed up, remember, you still got to play in overtime. Is the point to try to show him that he messed up or to try to win the game? You got to pick your teammate up there. I know. Listen, I felt that way about J.R. Smith in that moment. Everyone did. Damn, after everything LeBron did, J.R. Smith's going to mess this up. Between the officials and J.R. Smith, they're going to mess this up for LeBron and the Cavs? Come on. But if you're LeBron James, you're the leader. You have to get past that immediately. You got to pick that guy up, not dwell on the negative, but pick him up, move on, and try to win in overtime. They got crushed in overtime. Notice, you think that's an accident? The fact that they got crushed, they were deflated, and they saw their leader deflated and heartbroken and unable to get over it and unable to pick his guy up, and it was he who didn't know he had a timeout. No, I do not feel worse for LeBron James after seeing that.
That is nonsensical. Let me go down the list, and let's be very, very clear about something here. Before you even get to the issue of the timeout, let's understand that J.R. Smith thought there was a lead. There's nothing more egregious than that. You could sit there and talk about the timeout. You could say, well, you know what? LeBron James should have known there was a timeout. Coach Ty Lue should have made sure everybody knew it was a timeout. We could say all of those things. At the end of the day, it all gets preceded by the reality that J.R. Smith thought you were playing with a lead, which is inexcusable. Now, if you're in the throes of action and you're on the court, listen, Magic Johnson, the great Magic Johnson, once dribbled out the clock, thinking the score, you know, he had a lead and the score was tied. But damn it, at least he was playing. There was actual plays that were going on in that particular moment. This is George Hill at the free throw line. You got an opportunity to take a deep breath, you know, inhale, gather your poise, and more importantly, actually look up, okay, and see that the score is tied, okay? This is what J.R. Smith had an opportunity to do. Why? Because you went to the free throw line of your George Hill, down one. You made the first free throw. That made the score tied. Now, Mike Wilbon and others have said, well, J.R. Smith assumed that, you know what, he was going to make the shot. Okay, good for you. But assumptions, we all know it's the mother of what? We won't say that over the FCC airwaves. We understand. You don't just assume, particularly when you're in the heat of competition against the reigning defending world champions. So I look at it from that perspective. Then when J.R. Smith ran out towards midcourt, LeBron was calling for the ball, but then if you could see, he actually was trying to call a timeout. So again, even though he asked Ty Lue the question, in the throes of action, he was still calling for the timeout. So
he looked like he didn't know what to do at first because he didn't know what J.R. was doing.
That's fine, but at the end of the day, he did signal for a timeout. So it doesn't really matter that he went to the bench, asked Ty Lue, did we have a timeout, and realized he had a timeout. When he was on the court, he called for the timeout, okay? So we understand that. Now, of course, LeBron could have acted better, and we get all of that. But let's not act like that was more egregious than J.R. Smith forgetting the fact that the game was tied.
Hold up.